Imagine uncovering a betrayal so deep that it shatters your entire family. A woman, a mother figure, breaking the one boundary that should never be crossed. What happens when love turns into something forbidden? Before we dive into this shocking story, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more gripping stories that will leave you speechless. When David married Julia, he thought he had found the perfect wife. She was kind, beautiful, and seemed to love his teenage son. Ryan as her own. Ryan had lost his mother when he was young, and Julia stepped in, filling the vow with warmth and care to everyone on the outside. They were the picture-perfect family. But as Ryan grew older, things began to change. Julia's affection toward him started to feel different at first. It was subtle. Longer hugs, lingering touches, soft whispers of how handsome he had become. David thought nothing of it after all. Julia was just being a loving stepmother, or so he believed. It happened one night. When David was away on a business trip, Ryan, now 19, had just come home from football practice exhausted. Julia had made dinner like she always did, but this time there was wine. "You're an adult now," she smiled, pouring him a glass. "A little won't hurt." One glass turned into two, then three. Laughter filled the room as they talked late into the night. But then Julia's hand rested on his. "You remind me so much of your father when he was younger," she murmured. Ryan felt uneasy but also flattered. This was his stepmother, his dad's wife. Yet when she leaned in and kissed him, he didn't pull away that night. A line was crossed, one that could never be undone. What started as a single mistake quickly spiraled into a full-blown affair. Whenever David left for work, Julia and Ryan found excuses to be alone. It was thrilling, dangerous, and completely wrong, but neither of them could stop Julia, justified it in her mind. "David barely pays attention to me," she told herself, "has always working, but Ryan makes me feel alive." Ryan, young and inexperienced, was intoxicated by the attention, but deep down, he knew it was wrong. Every time he saw his father's trusting eyes, guilt gwed at him. David started to notice changes in Julia. She was happier when Ryan was around, distant when he wasn't. She started dressing differently, paying more attention to her looks. At first, he chalked it up to a phase. But then little things started to add up. One evening, he walked into the living room to find Julia and Ryan sitting too close, laughing at an inside joke. The way she looked at his son, it wasn't motherly. It was something else. That night, he couldn't sleep. The thought nagged at him, but he pushed it away. No, it's impossible. Julia would never do that. One day, David came home early from work, hoping to surprise Julia with a weekend getaway. As he stepped inside, he heard whispers from upstairs. Curious, he followed the sound. His heart pounded as he opened the bedroom door, and there they were. Time seemed to stop. Julia gasped, pulling the sheets over herself. Ryan froze, his face pale as a ghost. David's hands trembled. What is this?" His voice was barely a whisper. Tears filled Julia's eyes, but there was no excuse, no way to justify the ultimate betrayal. Ryan tried to speak, but David turned and walked out, his world crashing down around him. David didn't say a word to either of them for days, but he wasn't going to let this go unpunished. He gathered evidence, text messages, hidden photos, everything. Then he filed for divorce. Julia tried to beg for forgiveness, but it was too late. The woman he once loved had destroyed everything. As for Ryan, David couldn't look at him the same way. Again, he sent him to live with his aunt, refusing to speak to him. "You're not my son anymore," were his last words to him. Julia lost everything: the marriage, the house, the respect of everyone who knew her. Ryan, once a promising young man, was now burdened with guilt that would follow him for the rest of his life. And David, he rebuilt himself slowly, but surely he learned that betrayal doesn't just come from strangers. It can come from those closest to you. What would you have done? If you were in David's shoes, let me know in the comments. If you found this story shocking, don't forget to like and subscribe for more real-life stories that will leave you speechless.